Boy, it's a pretty Friday. Yes, it is a pretty Friday. Speaking of service dogs, holy cow, it's hot outside too. I'm home alone, which is incredibly rare. And yes, that is a knife in my tea because my teaspoon gets too hot. So go get yourself a cup of tea or a beer or wine, and we're going to just sit here and have a good conversation because I got nowhere to go, nothing to do, and I have strep throat. Janet. And then after this, we're going to do a subscriber video, okay? Do I feel better? No, not yet. But I've started my antibiotic. This is called life when you have a child with special needs and you're busy and you just think, I'm not sick, I'll get better. And finally today I was like, okay, I'm sick. So I got into the urgent care and got to see Heather, who was wonderful. She was like, you have strep. So my staycation is more of a sickcation, but it's still nice. I don't have to, feed people or move on, because when you belong to somebody with autism, they don't care if you're sick or not. They say no sick. So anyway, I've had a couple things hit me lately about service dogs. And so I had been working on a story earlier this morning, which actually I'm really excited to do. We're going to talk about this later this weekend. But it is about diversity and inclusion and why those things are being equated to the word woke. The word woke is like a real trigger word for me, because what does it mean? Anyway, we're going to be talking about wokeness and what that is, and is that just a word being used to some things like Legos or maybe people with disabilities? It is, actually, so it's sort of shocking. But today I get this, I got this in the mail. Amos got this in the mail. It's a Lego kit, and it's really interesting. It's going to go along with that story. It has a Lego who has a limb difference, so she doesn't have a hand. And then it has a boy with autism in it, which is sort of cool. But it's a dog rescue center. And so I was like, okay, I've got to talk about, I'm going to talk about service dogs. That's what I'm going to talk about. So it's going to be kind of interesting. So I got a message yesterday afternoon from a really old friend who I love and got to know through my blog. And she has a child in Pender County schools. And she sent me this email yesterday and was like, you're not going to believe this. So her daughter has terminal brain cancer, which is obviously kind of a big deal. And it was her birthday. And so she and her husband, who is a veteran, I've met them before, and they were heading off to see their daughter at school, had a big thing planned at, I guess, Topsail Middle School. And so I'm in northeastern North Carolina. This is southeastern North Carolina. And Pender County is right beside New Hanover County, which really has a pretty sordid history in itself, but particularly related to sex abuse and service dogs. But we're going to get to that. I don't know why. And we have a service dog, and we have never had any trouble. So I don't know why down that way. The law is a really hard thing for people to follow. It's almost like administrators have too much confidence in their own inability. My husband always says that I have too much confidence when it comes to calling people by the right name. And it's true. He's like, you just called that person whatever. I'm like, I know. He's like, but you said it with such confidence. Like, if you don't know their name, don't say it. I'm like, I know, but I just feel like maybe I'll have it right. Well, that's how it is with service dogs. And feel free to ask questions. A lot of times I don't answer questions while I'm talking, but today I'm going to. And after this, I'm going to do a subscriber video with my people on really kind of the nitty gritty of service dogs and related to our service dog. So I think that will be a good conversation and something that I get asked about pretty often. Where we got ours, how long we've had her, what she does for Amos, all those types of things. But it's kind of a separate conversation. So anyway, So my friend sends me this email, and she tells me what happened. So they go to school, and let me get to it here. They go to school, and they sign in to go to the cafeteria, and when they get there, they're told by, which is interesting, they're told by the school treasurer, oh, service dogs cannot go to the cafeteria. Just want everybody to know. Let's just go over the law for a minute. We're going to go over the law every time we hear something like this, because we want to see what the federal government says, right? Because that's really the best thing to do. So under ADA, American with Disabilities Act, organizations that serve the public generally must allow service animals to accompany people with disabilities in all areas of the facility where the public is allowed to go. In a hospital, it would be inappropriate to exclude an animal, service animal, from areas such as a patient room, clinic, cafeteria, or examination room. However, it may be appropriate to exclude a service animal from an operating room or a burn unit where the animal's presence may compromise a sterile environment. And that's what I've always heard. I've always heard, like, no operating room. So we hear yesterday, they say, no, service dog Jet, somebody named Gracie, says, Jet can, look at my hair. This is what happens when you've been laying on the couch all day. Jet cannot go to the cafeteria. Yes, we're talking about service dogs, not emotional support dogs. Though today I saw a dog with a vest on, and it said on one side, emotional support, and on the other side it said service dog, which are two different things. It's really weird. And this dog was actually sitting on a chair in a coffee shop. And we'll get to that in a little while, but just in case you want to know what the law says, seating, food, and drink are provided for customer use only. The ADA gives a person with a disability the right to be accompanied by his or her service animal, but covered entities are not required to allow an animal to be sit or fed at the table. No dogs sit at a chair at the restaurant. No way, Jose. Okay. So they're there to eat lunch with their child with terminal brain cancer, and they're told, well, you can't go in. I'm not talking about Gwyneth Paltrow. I'm not talking about that today. No. We can talk about that after. Call out the emotional support animals versus service dogs. Well, I'm just going to go over service animals, and I'm not even going to talk about emotional support dogs. I'm not saying they're not valuable, but they have no legal ability. Like, I ain't getting into all that. It's too much. So the principal's not around, so they see the SRO officer. And the SRO officer says, well, Mr. Lawrence, the principal's in a meeting. Well, then another person says, well, he's on his way. Well, then the SRO officer says, why don't y'all eat outside? No, see, you cannot make people. I'm going to read it to you again. Are you ready? Service animals must be allowed to accompany their handlers to and through self-service food lines. Similarly, service animals may not be prohibited from communal food preparations, such as are commonly found in shelters or dormitories. So you cannot be asked or told that you have to go outside to eat. Under ADA Title II, students with service animals cannot be isolated from others, treated less favorably than others, or charged fees not charged to others without animals. People with disabilities who use service animals cannot be isolated from other patrons, treated less favorably than other patrons. In addition, blah, 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 blah. Establishments that sell or prepare food must generally allow service animals in public areas, even if state or local health codes prohibit animals on the premises. Are y'all getting, is the message coming through? So if you work in Pender County Schools and you're Principal Lawrence, or maybe you're Dr. Breedlove, the superintendent, or maybe you're the attorney at Poynter and Sproul, or maybe you're, what was her name? Gracie. I want you to rewind, and I want you to listen to this entire video again. I want you to understand that Jet, the service dog, has every right to go into the cafeteria. Do you understand this, Pender County? Yes, so Alex Sartorius is Jet's handler. I am familiar with service dogs. My family has a service dog. Have you ever had problems with taking Honor with Amos? No, I have not, Julie. But I live in a really small town, and people know me and know Amos and know Honor. Now, I will say when we first started going to school, I had somebody at the school ask, but in a nice way, like, what's the rule with service dogs? And I'm glad most people with a service animal are so thrilled to educate and teach, or what does your dog do for Amos? Like, we are thrilled to talk about these things. You know, it's really important to talk about. But what's hard is when, and this is unusual, I will say, normally if someone points out to someone, boy, that's illegal, you're doing that wrong, normally people are pretty quick to be like, okay, I'm sorry, what can we do right? And you'll never even hear me do a video about this. But sometimes, and for some reason, New Hanover County, and now it appears Pender County, have a real problem with just accepting that they were wrong and apologizing. My husband also struggles with this. This is important. So we have Gracie, who says, ain't no dog can go in the cafeteria. Okay. Then we have Sergeant Bruns. I don't know how you say his name, Alex. He says, y'all could go eat outside. No. Well, then you have the mother say, you know what? We're not going outside. This Jet is allowed through ADA. They're trying to help, educate, doing all the right things. Then you got Tammy. I mean, there's a lot of players in the Pender County Topsail Middle School. I guess they're probably never going to invite me to come visit. You have Gracie, Tammy, who says, did you make an appointment to eat lunch with your daughter? That's actually not under ADA. But FYI, it's illegal to require parents to make appointments to come to the public school. I mean, are you people on crack? Like, where do you get these rules? I would love somebody to ask me if I made an appointment. Oh my God, I'd kill them. Okay. So then they wait for, they've called the sheriff's department, which is wonderful. And they wait for Mr. Lawrence and or the sheriff's department to come up. So Mr. Lawrence comes up and he says, oh no, it wasn't Mr. Lawrence. It was the school resource officer. He said, well, is Jet a service dog or a therapy dog? I tell you the problems with these questions and this action is they basically have broken federal law 4 times already, and they're still not conceding defeat. So at this point, the family can file a complaint with the Office of Civil Rights. And it's a wonderful person to ask about that is Parsley Elementary. Wonderful, wonderful, perfectly, almost perfect school at Parsley. We had a principal, Robin Hamilton. And boy, she really went down the chute. She could not accept a service dog. It did not turn out well for her. People, you just listen. Okay, just listen. This is not difficult. This is not difficult. So I'm just going to go back and I'm going to go over with you what you are allowed to ask when somebody has a service dog. Okay, you can ask 2 questions. You cannot ask, is this a service dog or a facility or a emotional support dog? No. And this is yesterday. Like, this is not in 1982. This is yesterday in Pender County. I mean, I'm having New Hanover County flashbacks. You may ask, is this dog a service animal required because of a disability? And what work or task has the dog been trained to perform? That's it. You can't ask nothing else. Nothing. Nothing. Not, who trained this dog? Now, if the dog is misbehaving, barking, pooping on the floor, you can ask the dog to leave. The dog must be in control of the handler at all times. I mean, I almost feel fine now. Yes, service dogs do not have to wear vests or carry documentation. This is correct. Now, we have a vest and we carry documentation because I think it's helpful. I would have a copy of the law with me. Well, hello, Google. Okay. Okay, now, let's go back. Now, where are we? So we're still not in the cafeteria. It's 25 minutes now that we've missed amazing child's 11th birthday lunch. Okay? Been told, can't go in the cafeteria. Why don't you go outside? There's my service dog drinking water. They're waiting for the sheriff's department to come up. The sheriff's department comes up, or the SRO who said, go sit outside. He comes out and he says, yeah, just heard from my supervisor. The service dog is protected under federal law. Y'all can go ahead to the cafeteria. Hello. So then the principal shows up after everything has happened, which seems a little bit convenient. So he starts talking about, this is such a Robin Hamilton. Well, there's children might have allergies and you can't go in the cafeteria, and you got to let us know if you're coming ahead of time because of board policy. Principal Lawrence, please don't. I can't take it. Mr. Lawrence, can you please just spend like an hour this weekend? I want you and Tammy and Gracie and Sleepy and Snoopy and Smarky and Kukuki to get together this weekend, and I want y'all to do the ADA quiz. The ADA quiz is, a parent has shown up with their service dog. Can they go in the cafeteria? No! Wrong. Yes, they ahead of time allows them to make other arrangements for kids allergic to dogs. So I'm going to tell you something, Jane Etta Bryan, because I know you like to argue with me because I've seen your name before, but we're going to go over this, what you have to do. So when we take Honor with us on an airplane, I guess they move someone if they have allergies around. When we go into a restaurant, we have never been excluded from going into a restaurant because someone has allergies, right? The only time I've seen is that if a college student had a service dog, what they might do is ensure that another student in that dormitory was further away in the dorm than the college student with the service animal, which makes sense to me, right? Doesn't it? I think it does. Things should not be this difficult. No, they should not. No. No. Yes, we're not talking about the Walmart, the thing. So then I call Principal Lawrence and leave a message. He no call me back. I called the attorney on his cell phone today. He no want to talk. He wants me to email him. So I texted him and said, I'm going to email you, but I hadn't emailed him yet. Where was their special education director who should know the law? Well, I'm going to have to tell you all the story about what happened in New Hanover County with Wayne Bullard. Do y'all remember? Y'all probably don't. Wayne Bullard was this amazing attorney in New Hanover County schools that ended up getting fired because he was using his phone to record families complain about all the sex abuse at school board meetings. He legit was recording people complaining. I had a wonderful conversation with him. We're talking about service animals and a friend whose husband's service animal was not allowed at school in the cafeteria yesterday. Okay, now, Superintendent Breedlove sends an email to the family today. It's painful. Dr. Breedlove, I know you're from Union County. I like Union County. But if y'all want me to do a Zoom this weekend with y'all, I might do it for free. I'll help y'all get up to speed. So I'm going to read your email just purely because I think it's educational for the rest of the people. They don't know the law if they've never had a service dog in the facility. Are you on crack? What do you mean they don't know the law? You have to know the law. What? If you are an administrator, it's your job to know the law. What? Oh my God. I feel like I'm like in an altar. Is this not going in IEP? So Kate, what you have to understand is this dog belonged to a parent. So the parent doesn't have an IEP. The parent is going to visit school. So when I go to school, if I choose to take Honor with me, because Honor doesn't go to school with Amos, I am her handler, I don't have to make an appointment to take Honor. Now, it would be helpful to know if somebody did have a terrible allergy. My own son is terribly allergic to dogs, and we have a dog. So you know what we do? We takes allergy medicine. Some people get allergy shots. So somebody just said 1 particle of dog dander would kill my son. So Phyllis, do you not go on airplanes? Do you not go in other people's houses? Do you not go in restaurants? I think that would be a hard life to live. I think that would be really hard. It must be really hard. Okay, now, so here's the email. I'm very sorry to hear about Delilah's condition. This would be called terminal brain cancer. So Alex just said, Alex is Jet's handler. I have been in this school numerous times prior to this, and no one has ever said anything to me about having Jet in the school. Right, which is weird. We have to be aware of others around us because you love service animals. So I don't understand what that means, Rebecca. So if a person has a service animal and there's somebody there that's allergic, does that mean only one of them gets to go to the concert? So in this case, there was no child with allergies in the cafeteria. This was all done like there could be. This is illegal. So you might think or have these strong feelings like, I really feel like this is important. I can't go to a house with a dog or a cat. And Rachel, what about flying? I mean, I guess it's hard, but these animals do have the legal right to be there. They do. They do. They do. It's just, it is protected by federal law. If you said, I'm scared of wheelchairs, I'm sorry. You've got to get over it. And I'm not saying it's the same thing, but this is important. So, sorry about her condition. I hope she had a great birthday despite the situation that occurred today. While I agree with you and your husband are welcome in Topsail Middle School. My understanding of service animals, this is going to be bad, are that they shall be permitted in most instances. No. Remember, it's all. But there are conditions that do impact the situation. Students who may have allergies. In such cases, we will still work to accommodate you and your husband to the best of our ability to ensure we are providing the accommodation to individuals who have a need for a service animal. I will ask that Principal Lawrence contact you to discuss a plan that will accommodate your husband in a comparable setting if the need or want arises again to visit your daughter during lunch or other times she is at school. So let's just go over this. That's illegal. I'm going crazy. I feel crazy. If you want to come to school, we'll find you an alternative setting. Let's go over, Dr. Breedlove, the law again, because this is such, I just don't understand why this is so difficult. Where is the law? I've lost it. Lost the law. Mother fricker. Okay, here it is. Are you ready? People with disabilities who use service animals cannot be isolated from other patrons, treated less favorably than other patrons. Breedlove, for the love of all that is good in heaven. That is illegal. So you have just emailed a parent in a legal response. Did you think maybe about reaching out to the attorney or maybe just looking into what ADA is? You got Pointer and Sproul. I mean, I've got their cell number. It's real easy. I mean, it's not hard. I promise you, it's not hard. Please don't send emails like that. It's illegal. Why do they struggle? Why do they struggle? And now here, for all the people that are going ape shit crazy, I'm gonna read a little more of the ADA to you. Okay, get yourself ready. Get yourself a beer. Allergies and fear of dogs are not legal reasons for denying access or refusing service to people using service animals. When a person who is allergic to dog dander and a person who uses a service animal must spend time in the same room or facility, for example, in a classroom or a homeless shelter, they both should be accommodated by assigning them to different locations within the room or different rooms in the facility. Now, in this case, we're not aware that there is anyone with a allergy. The snark doesn't help educate. I'm in medicine and had an administrator try and kick a service dog out of my ER. Take a breath. You know, Mulligan Chowderhead, I think if it were one thing, like I think if the school treasurer maybe had said service dogs can't come in, and then the school resource officer or the principal or the data manager or the superintendent said, oh no, that's okay. But in this case, you have 6 different people continuing to maintain their stance that it is illegal. So that does burn me up. So no, I'm not going to leave the snark out of it because it is infuriating. This is a school. It is a big deal. It's an Office of Civil Rights complaint. Do you know what that is? That's like passing a school bus on drugs and being drunk. I mean, it is a big, big, big deal. And New Hanover County particularly struggles. New Hanover County had a rule that children with disabilities couldn't go to school if they didn't wear a mask. So the federal government said, if Amos can't wear a mask, that's okay. Well, New Hanover County said, well, it's not okay with us. They can't come to school. It was illegal. These are problems. I mean, this is a big deal. So it might not seem like a big deal to you, but it's a really frickin' big deal to me. What happens if a person has been discriminated against? Individuals who have been illegally denied access or service because they use service animals should file a complaint with the U.S. Department of Justice. Individuals who have the right to file a private lawsuit in federal court charging the entity with discrimination under the ADA. So this is important. Not only is this a big deal, it's very expensive. So sometimes it would have been great to have had a person there that said, get your shit together and welcome the people with the service dog in. This is a big deal to me. Now, what happened in New Hanover County, I guess I'm particularly sensitive. One, I have strep throat, so I feel bad. Two, my family has a service dog for my son. And three, these stories, it just feels like it's 2023 and we are, I feel like we're making momentum. You know, like I read today that NC State has a new program for neurodivergent entering freshmen. And like, we're like doing some awesome things. But in this case, it seems weird. So there was a little girl at Parsley Elementary who had a service dog. On 2 different occasions, Robin Hamilton, who was the principal at Parsley Elementary, denied access to the service dog. Now, what was wonderful about what was happening in New Hanover County, I mean, this is downright funny because it's so ridiculous. But we complained and now it's been changed. So Pender County, I hope, will watch this video this weekend. And they'll say the sick debutante with the Rudolph mug has taught us something, and maybe we're going to fix this. And what they need to do is they need to reach out to the family. I would suggest sending a dozen yellow tulips to the 11-year-old, or 11 tulips for her birthday. And I would say, we are so sorry. We are dumb and we are wrong. And then I would sign all the names. I would sign the school resource officer, Breedlove, Lawrence, whoever else all those devils were. You can't come in here. Why doesn't Edenton want to pay its teachers? Edenton does want to pay its teachers. The question is, why doesn't the General Assembly want to allocate us enough money to pay teachers? Why did the General Assembly get rid of the Teaching Fellows program? These are things that are important. Now, so New Hanover, lo and behold, they go take the service dog to visit open house night. And the principal, Robin Hamilton, who is quite famous, she was on The Price is Right, where you get called up on the stage. And she says, no service dogs. No sirree, Bobby. And they're like, actually, you can have service dogs. She says, no, because our school policy says you can't. We're like, well, that's interesting. Okay, so we take a gander at the school policy. Now, this policy is no longer in effect, but I had to keep it because it's so wonderful and wrong. Are you ready? I wish I felt like drinking. Get ready. As related to students with disabilities, the New Hanover Schools policy states, I mean, like the government, I'm going to get the ADA to put this policy in their book so that this is an example of what not to do if you're a public school. Like New Hanover County should be famous. The policy states, and I quote, service animals will not... I'm sorry, this is so funny. This is a policy in a book. I mean, this is in 2019. I mean, what's that, like 5 minutes ago? Service animals will not be permitted in the school setting without prior approval. What? So you all, I'm going to give you a quiz, okay? I've given you some information tonight, been quizzing you. Have you heard me say anything about approval? So when Adrian takes Honor, and Amos to a restaurant, here's the quiz question. True or false? Adrian must call the restaurant ahead of time, 3 weeks ahead, and say, excuse me, this is Dr. Wood. I'm bringing Amos and our service dog Honor in. True or false? First person that answers correctly is going to get, actually, I will pick somebody tonight to get a year's free subscription on my blog. I'm feeling very It's $5 a month. It's $60. All the new subscribers that come on today, you're going to have a chance to win a year's free subscription. And if you win, you send me your Venmo and I'll pay you $60. Royal Scout's in, and Royal's already a subscriber. So Royal, you have a chance to win a whole year. I'm going to add you in there just because you answered. False. No, see? Y'all are so smart. How are you smarter than the attorney Wayne Bullard? I mean, where are you, Wayne? Maybe New Hanover County and Pender County could have like a bonfire on the beach this weekend. Okay, so get ready. Here we go. 3 weeks in advance. This is false, in case you're wondering. It's false. So, but then the policy goes on to be very specific because Wayne Bullard, they wanted to pay him to make sure they would have this right. Whenever possible, requests must be submitted 3 weeks prior approval before bringing a service animal onto school property. Number 2, the request must identify and describe the need for the service animal in the school setting, and the student's parent legal guardian must describe the manner in which the service animal will meet the student's particular need. Now I'm going to help y'all again. We're going to go back over. This is a wonderful way to learn. Are you allowed to say, why do you need that dog? Was that one of the 2 questions that I gave you? Here's the 2 questions, okay? Is the dog a service animal required because of a disability? What work or task has the dog been trained to perform? You got it? So that is not tell me the need for the animal and why does your child need that animal? This is illegal. Okay, this is serious. Now, an attorney crafted this wonderful policy in the New Hanover book. Number 3, this one is really good. Individuals requesting, it's almost like it's the Wild West, and somebody just throws up like rules. It's like Lord of the Flies. Individuals requesting the use of a service animal may be required to provide a letter from a physician or other healthcare provider regarding the need for a service animal. Is that one of the 2 questions? No, come on up, Robin Hamilton. It is not. Here's what the ADA says. You are not allowed to request any documentation You're not. So I can't imagine that someone graduated from law school. I mean, I'm not a real attorney. I play one on TV. But I'm like downright like Harvard scholar compared to this policy. So when this happens in New Hanover County, I reach out to Wayne Bullard, who's no longer there because he was doing all that videotaping of people. And he told me that the policy was in the process of being revised. But when I asked him, that's great. I said, okay, Wayne, if I were to bring my service dog into your school today, would I be allowed access? And do you know what he said? This is a direct quote. It depends. Is your dog snarling or growling, tethered, following strict voice commands? And then he said, we don't understand why one parent believes that their rights trump the right of another parent. What? That's a quote. I mean, I wrote it down. So then the principal is so annoyed, Robin Hamilton, and she can't just apologize and say I was wrong. Do you know what she does? She sends out a letter to everybody at Parsley Elementary except one little family, the family with the service dog. And do you know what that letter says? I'm going to tell you. If your child has any medical contraindications or phobias, which we need to be aware, please let me know ASAP. We have had a request to have a service dog in school. So the principal sends out the letter to the parents and says, if your child is scared of dogs, you need to let me know. According to ADA, allergies and fear of dogs are not valid reasons for denying access or refusing service to people who use service animals. This is all true stuff. Like, this is real in real time. You're an actress. Well, I might be. Haha. I might be. 2023, Pender County. 2019, New Hanover County. Service dogs denied access. This is a really, really, really easy thing to fix. You just read up on ADA and you are good to go. You know the questions to ask. What questions do you ask? What kind of disability does your child have? Is that a real service dog? Is that an emotional support dog? That's not what you ask. You can say, is the dog a service animal required because of a disability? What work or task has the dog been trained to perform? You cannot request documentation that the dog is registered, licensed, or certified as a service animal. You do not have to register your service animal. Service dogs do have to be vaccinated, like all dogs. This is very easy, very easy, very easy. You know, I think the problem is, Sally, nobody wants to sue. And I remember years ago, I was writing for Disney, and you remember the little boy was playing at the beach at the Grand Floridian, and I remember we had stayed there, and they were having a movie night, and there's a little beach, and it said, like, don't get in the water. And somebody, a little 2-year-old, was playing on the edge of the sand, and an alligator came out of the water and grabbed him. His father tried to get him. He couldn't, and he was killed. This 2-year-old son at Disney World. And Disney at the time, I would submit stories, and they'd pay me like $50 or something. And I said, I really want to write about this. And my Disney person was like, no, we're not going to write about this. And I said, let me tell you what I think. I think that we live in this environment where we're so worried about getting sued that we can't just be nice and honest. You know, like, this is not that hard. Why can't we just say to the family, boy, we're really sorry that happened. That was a terrible accident, and I am sorry. And so 2 days later, she says to me, I got approval. They said you can write something. Send it over, and we'll edit it. And so I wrote this story about how the whole world was sending love to this family and how it was terrible. And it was this accident, and it was an accident. And you know what happened? And I'm not saying this is because of me. The family didn't sue Disney World. Disney World did do a number of changes. They put up a fence around that area so it wouldn't happen again. So sometimes a family, like in this case, all Dr. Breedlove had to do was say, I'm really sorry that happened. Not, well, you know, you can't always have a dog in a cafeteria. You can. So just do your work. ADA, that's all you have to do. The American with Disabilities Act and service dog. If you Google that, you will find all sorts of things. All sorts of things. Just apologize. Apologize and just say, I'm sorry. We were really wrong. And we're embarrassed about that. That was so silly. Or New Hanover County. You know, what you see is people digging in their heels because they just can't. It's prideful. You know, it's prideful. And maybe belonging to a little person with autism. And I mean, I have been in a bathroom where poop was smeared on a wall. I have been somewhere where somebody had their pants off. I've had to wrestle him out of a soccer goal net during my child's game. I've had to chase him on a field. I mean, I've been in church with him and he's got no shoes on, and I'm thinking, oh my God, he's going to throw the Lego book over the railing. Like, I spend so much of my time having my ego defeated that it's really a wonderful thing. It will make you such a better person. And that's how we need our school administrators to be. And I think Pender County can be good. And I know they're good teachers everywhere. But we cannot have administrators or people that really feel like they are police officers when they don't know what they're talking about. You know, it's important. It's important that if you don't know the law, zip your lips. Wait and see. You know? Recently there was a fellow who was blind traveling with Amtrak, and he always traveled with a service dog. And he happened upon a misinformed employee. They kicked him off the train. It was terrible. And he reached out to Amtrak, or Amtrak reached out to him, and they were like, we want to get this right. And somebody had sent it to me, and I've worked with Amtrak. Amtrak is on it. They are working so hard to try to do it right. So is Delta Airlines. I mean, you have to realize that there are places that are really working hard. I would say my school system, when it comes to service dogs, you're not going to have this crap helping here, you know, because they're willing to learn and listen. And you need an administrator that will learn and listen. So important. So important. And if you're wrong, apologize. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. Anyway. Her dog was unleashed. You know, I do not think dogs have to be leashed, service dogs. They just have to be under control of the handler. Now, the rules with our service dog organization, Honor is always vested and leashed when we are, when she's working. But now you might see us out for a walk in town and she's on her leash without her vest because she's a dog too. She's not always working. Right now where are you? Oh, she's resting. She's saying this is kind of boring. It's time for us to go outside and chase the tennis ball because it's that time of day. So we're going to do that. Where did this happen? This happened in Pender County this week. But the truth is, it happened in New Hanover County a few years ago, and it happened more than once. And instead of somebody apologizing, you had people that continued to dig their feet in. The administrators don't know the law because they've never dealt with the law. Well, Kim, that's a problem. I would say most school systems, administrators have been trained on their on the law. And I would also say, like in New Hanover County, they had an attorney, Wayne Bullard, who helped develop the school policy. The reason you have an attorney help you develop a policy book is because you want to make sure the policies are actually legal. You couldn't say something in your school policy book like, girls are not allowed to chew gum, but boys are, because that would be illegal. So it's important. So there are all sorts of people. I mean, school policy is written by attorneys. So if an attorney doesn't know something, then I guess you reach out to the law school and say, why did y'all let this person pass? I don't know. Alex said, I tell people the Jet's best is to let people know he's working. Yeah. And anyway, it's important. Honor offers really, you know, it's funny. We flew with her for the first time pretty recently. And on the flight, she, you know, obviously lays under the chair. The dogs don't sit in the chair on the airplane. And Amos laid on top of her, which was deep pressure is one of her disability tasks, which is great. And so, you know, I think sometimes you think, well, what does the dog do for somebody with autism? I think it's important. Yes, she has a working vest she wears. She sure does. And you might see me out training with her when I don't have Amos. Most of the time, I do try to take her to do something if it's new without Amos, because I need to make sure she's ready. Taking she and Amos to a new place, we took them bowling. A big mistake. Bad. I had to leave. It was bad. Amos was off the charts. Honor was off the charts because Amos was off the charts. I mean, it was bad. I mean, I was like at the point where I'm like, I'm never going bowling again. Bad times. But anyway, Pender County, New Hanover County. If you have any questions or you need any assistance, ADA is totally available. I'm sure your lawyer would be happy to help you. Just for the record, service dogs are allowed in your cafeteria. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. It's a federal law. Yep. Did they ask you for documentation on the airplane? You know, we did when we flew this last time. We did, stop. We did have kind of a weird experience. So we flew, so Delta, there's several airlines that you get a year certification through. So the FAA does not follow ADA, which is interesting. So if you're on an airplane, you are allowed or you are forced to do more than if you were going to take your dog in a restaurant. So to go on the airplane, we did have to submit our training agency. It was more involved. And it was on our ticket. So it basically goes through. But I had my letter printed out. I was ready. But interestingly enough, we went there and we were fine. Well, on the way home, we had been on the plane for a minute. And this woman came up to us on the plane and was like, "Is that a service dog?" And I think I said, "You really don't want to go there with me." And then she walked away. I mean, I just was like, at this point, like the flight was delayed. I had a dog and Amos. We'd been in the airport for like 6 hours. I gave her the death stare. I mean, anyway. She didn't say anything else. I mean, what does she think? I just like snuck on the airplane? Don't mess with the mama. And I think my friend in Wilmington, like their daughter has terminal brain cancer. So your level of stress is already right here. And to be chastised incorrectly and illegally is too much. It's too much. American couple kidnapped in Haiti. I will say you do not see Adrian in Haiti, North Korea, or Mexico for a reason. Because I would be kidnapped and nobody would come back to get me. They'd be like, well, my dad would be like, "I told you not to go over there." Subscribers, come over to the next video and we're going to talk, have a big Q&A session. Carry on, people. Thank y'all for listening. I hope you learned something, and I hope I'm not too snarky. I don't want to be, but I think it's really important that we approach these conversations. And yeah, Debbie, I think you're right. People are ordering these vests on Amazon, and it hurts it for everybody because then people with real service dogs are accused of not having real service dogs. It's annoying. It's annoying. It's annoying. Bye. And if you sign up as a subscriber today, one of you is going to win a free year subscription. I'll announce that in the morning on my subscriber video. 10 a.m. Goodbye.